To the SBR NHL Ice Guys, it's Thursday, March 29th, and yes, it is also Major League Baseball opening day. I understand that, but this is a hockey show, damn it. And we're going to be talking about the best sport there is, hockey. None of this baseball nonsense here on the Ice Guys. We got Alex B. Smith, Dayton Lane, and Andrew McGinnis with us as we break down a busy Thursday NHL slate like it pretty much always is. Let's get to it with Tampa Boston. What a great game to kick it off. 1-2 on the rotation, no line as of yet. We've got the Lightning and the Bruins in a battle essentially here for first place in the Atlantic Division. These two teams battling it out for that top spot. Right now, you got to like Boston's current form a lot better than you got to like Tampa's coming into this game. I don't think there's much question with that. I've seen Tampa Bay really be erratic, be very inconsistent as of late. Meanwhile, this Boston Bruins team continues to get healthier as we've seen guys start to get back into the lineup. This is a team that's been deluged with injuries for the better part of the last month, and yet they've still been able, for the most part, to play good hockey and win despite a lot of those injuries, which has been real impressive. Tampa Bay, the big concern for them injury-wise is Steven Stamkos, who did not play against Arizona. They decided to keep him out of the lineup. He's nursing a minor lower body injury, but he is expected to return tonight against the Boston Bruins. Obviously, they want him in there for a game of this magnitude, and it looks like at this point in time that he's going to indeed be in for the Lightning tonight. Bruins, again, we talked about how they recently got Patrice Bergeron back, huge for this hockey team, but now they're dealing with another injury on the blue line. They've already been without Big Z, Zdeno Chara for a while. They've already been without Charlie McAvoy for a while. It's now Matt Grzelcyk that has ended up on the injured list for this Bruins team. An upper body injury suffered in a big hit that he took the other night against Winnipeg, which was a very physical game, very intense hockey game. Two teams that really don't have a lot of history or bitterness between them. There was some bitterness that night. You could tell that was a little bit of a statement game for both the Bruins and Jets. They played like it, both wanting to show that, hey, we're going to be a team to be reckoned with in the playoffs. It was Winnipeg prevailing in a shootout 5-4, and that's the game, of course, Grzelcyk suffers that injury. And so there's still injury concerns with Boston. I know, obviously, having Bergeron back, enormous for this hockey team, makes them a lot better. But now they're going to have to overcome potentially three starting defensemen out of their lineup tonight and possibly moving forward. So very interesting to see how the Bruins cope with that. The fact they're even 3-0-3 in their last 6 games without a regulation loss during that span, with all the people moving in and out of the lineup due to injuries, been impressive. I've talked about that ad nauseum, really, how amazing it is the Bruins have done as well as they have, considering all the manpower that has been out of the lineup for them recently. Brad Marchand continues to be absolutely fantastic. 2 goals, 5 assists his last 3 games for this Boston team. How about Ryan Donato? Scores again the other night against Winnipeg. He just comes right up into the lineup here for Boston, produces, makes an impact immediately. Impressive stuff from him. Torrey Krug's been a pillar of strength on the Bruins blue line, and they'll be relying on him even more now with all the players around him on that blue line currently out of the lineup. So very interesting for Boston. I don't know if they've got it in them tonight, though, for this game, because Tampa got shut out by Boston 3-0 March 17th. It was just 12 days ago. It was a horrendous performance by the Lightning. They only had 23 shots on goal in that game. They're off 2 straight losses. It feels like whatever A game, whatever best performance and biggest punch Tampa Bay has in them, you're going to see it tonight in this game against the Boston Bruins as they try to hold on for dear life here in terms of hanging on to this Atlantic Division first place spot. So I'm actually leaning Tampa. We'll see where this number comes out. I think it's a good situation for them. They're off 2 straight losses, including a dismal loss to Arizona. It's not so dismal, actually. Arizona's played very good. They're 15-9 now. Arizona, their last 24 games, they beat the Golden Knights last night 3-2. And Arizona, losing to them is not really the great shame now that it was back in October, November. So, but still Tampa Bay, that a loss like that still doesn't sit well. I'd expect them to really bring it tonight against Boston. And it's not the greatest spot either for Boston from a scheduling perspective. 4 road games. They come back home, play Columbus. 4 more road games, and now they're back home. So now you're looking at 10 games in a row almost, 9 games in a row, where you've basically traveled and changed venues, changed cities, had to fly between games. That's going to catch up to you a little bit physically, especially when you're undermanned due to injury. So I think it's a good setup here for Tampa Bay. Now, they got to play well. That's something they haven't exactly been doing as much lately, but I think it's a good situation, good setup for Tampa Bay. That's certainly the way I'm interested in betting this one tonight. Lightning taking on the Bruins. Next up, we've got Pittsburgh, New Jersey, 3-4 on the rotation here. Pittsburgh -125, road chalk in this game. Total currently sitting at 6, shaded to the over at -120 to -125 in this game. Pittsburgh, I mean, really surprising performance, just dull, flat, nothing going for them the other night against the Detroit Red Wings. A 5-2 loss on the road, and the fact you're only barely getting to 20 shots in that game is a concern. I mean, it was just a team that we wondered, do the Pittsburgh Penguins have the capability of mailing one in? They kind of mailed one in. That effort was feeble the other night against the Detroit Red Wings. They did not generate anywhere near the offensive zone and attack time you really should against a team like that. I think Pittsburgh's certainly not going to be liking that performance and want to bounce back here against this New Jersey Devils team. And you look at both of these teams right now in terms of their offense, and certainly from a New Jersey standpoint, their offense has been very, very good lately. They're getting Taylor Hall's been great. We talked about that, but there's other guys starting to score. Pavel Zacha getting involved, and there's some other supplementary secondary players on this Devils team that have really stepped their game up offensively. Even Michael Grabner recently's played a little bit better. The guy they got at the trade deadline from the New York Rangers. Miles Wood, Palmieri scored some big goals lately for the Devils as well. Stefan Noasen, Nico Hischier has gotten on the score sheet, the rookie, first-round pick. So the New Jersey Devils getting some good contributions from a lot of different players in this lineup. They're rolling with Keith Kincaid one game after game, and he seems to have Pittsburgh's number. I mean, they just played recently, and Keith Kincaid in net got the better of Pittsburgh one more time. And in fact, New Jersey's won every game this season against Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh's got to obviously be thinking to themselves, hey, enough's enough. We've got to stop the bleeding here. We got to finally beat this New Jersey team. It's got to be a thorn in their side. The Devils have kind of had their number, believe it or not, this season. And off a bad showing against Detroit, lethargic from start to finish. It's not a night I'll be looking to go against Pittsburgh, but New Jersey needs the points. New Jersey's still trying to fend off Florida for that last spot. I expect both teams to bring it, both teams to be aggressive, both teams to come out firing. I'll go over 6 in this game, actually, -125. It's recently been higher scoring games in games involving these teams, as well as games involving these teams when they meet up head-to-head. It was a 4-3 game between these two teams just last week when they played in New Jersey. And the Devils were able to get that win 4-3 in overtime. Or Pittsburgh, that game was. This one's in New Jersey. I think we got something similar because I think you got two teams that are going to come out with that mindset like we've got to go out and grab this game. Not we've got to sit back and let's see what happens. I think you've got Pittsburgh that's going to come into this game after a porous effort against Detroit coming after it. New Jersey obviously needs every point right now as they try to hang into the second wild card spot in the East. So I think we're going to see chances. We're going to see goals. I know Kincaid's been pretty good against Pittsburgh, but hey, now this is second, third, fourth look for Pittsburgh now against Kincaid this season. Time to figure him out a little bit if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins, especially when you've got the elite offensive talent that they have. So I'll go over 6 here. Pittsburgh, New Jersey, -125 in this game. I think we'll see goals scored. Detroit, Buffalo, 5-6 on the rotation here. We've got Buffalo -120, total 5.5, shaded to the under at about -120 in this game. Really, it's an odd game. It's one I really have no feel on. I mean, Red Wings coming off a big win. Give them credit. Detroit's actually played pretty tough lately. They gave Toronto a pretty good game. Only lost 1-0 to a good Washington team. Beat Pittsburgh the other night. So the effort's actually picked up a little bit for a Jeff Blashill squad the last few weeks. They've been in a lot of games against some good competition. The win against Pittsburgh. Buffalo, on the other hand, -120 against anyone right now. That's a hard bet to have to stomach, even though they're coming off a rare win. I don't know what it is. If only the Buffalo Sabres could play the Toronto Maple Leafs 82 times a season, they'd be all set, because that seems to be the only time you get a little whisper of passion, a little whisper of intensity from this Buffalo team is when they play the Toronto Maple Leafs. Certainly that's been the case lately. And of course, they knock off the Leafs 3-2 the other night in a little bit of a stunner, cashing a big dog ticket in the +250 range in that hockey game. So if you were a big dog hunter and were on the Sabres, congratulations as they knock off Toronto. So you got two teams that rarely win games this season. coming off wins. So someone's going to extend a winning streak tonight. I'm not sure who it is. Maybe the slightest of leans to Detroit because I have a little more faith in what they've done lately than what Buffalo's done lately. But it's not a game I'll be involved with. Dana will be involved in it, though. Red Wings and Sabres, one of the games on his card. Dana, what do you like here?
Yeah, thanks, Ian. I mean, the fact is, it's very simple. I mean, I don't know where the scoring is going to come from in this game, and I know that both teams are off of pretty good performances. But I mean, I think Jack Eichel's a superstar. I keep hearing he's a superstar. I keep hearing he's a leader. But the fact of the matter is that he really has led the Sabres nowhere so far. And I know he's had some injuries. I know he had the high ankle sprain last year, and he was out a little bit this year. But that line. I mean, I don't know. I think they have to give him a left winger. I like Jason Palmaville, so we'll keep him where he is. But I just don't think that Jurgensen's is a top line left winger, and I don't think Evan Rodriguez is a second line left winger either. To me, I think that this Sabres team is in quite a bit of disarray. I think that's kind of where Arizona was at one point, but they've kind of gotten things together and look like they at least have a plan. As far as I mean, I know they're getting excited about Casey Middlestat and signing him and hopefully getting him in a uniform. But if you're relying on Casey Middlestat to come in and resurrect your franchise, I just really question the direction that you're going in. And so we know that Buffalo is 31st in the league, which is last in goals scored. We know Detroit is 28th. We also know that if we go into recent form, the Buffalo Sabres aren't much better. A lot of times we'll see teams and we'll take their numbers from the beginning of the year and say, okay, well, this is what they are. But in the last month, they're actually a lot better. Well, that's not the case for the Sabres. In fact, they're worse. They're actually in the last month averaging under 2 goals a game, 1.92, and Detroit is 28th in goals per game, which is exactly where they've been all year. So I just don't know where the goals are coming from. Combined, these two teams are 65 and 81 to the under. Both are coming off of uncharacteristic performances where we've seen Detroit beat Pittsburgh 5-2. I don't know where the 5 goals came from, and Buffalo got the win over Toronto. I told you guys this before against the Leafs, the next game out, expect a letdown. The Sabres always, well, here's two teams the Sabres always play well against. They always play well against Toronto, and they always play well against Anaheim. No idea why. I know Toronto. No idea about Anaheim. Jimmy Howard will get the start in goal for Detroit. His numbers aren't good, but the Wings, I thought, played pretty well in front of him the other night against Detroit, or against Pittsburgh, rather. In fact, over the last 4 games, the Wings have only given up 25 shots a game, which is great. I went back and watched that game last night. They look like they're playing pretty aggressive. I mean, it doesn't look like there's any quit in them. It certainly is a world of difference between watching them and watching the Islanders play, who I think are just completely out of control at this point. Robin Leonard's been pretty good of late too. He looked good against Vegas, looked good against the Maple Leafs. At least I know he's got some ability to stop the puck against good teams, and now I'm just asking him to beat a bad team. So I'm going to go under the total today of 5.5.
All right, Dana's on the under 5.5, Detroit and Buffalo in a game where, yeah, I mean, Detroit, that was one of the more surprising results. I'll tell you where the goals came from for Detroit. Dana was asking that, where did they come from? They came from Matt Murray, who's not really been all that sharp since he's come back from injury for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And his track record against Detroit, 4 point some goals against and an 826 save percentage, actually. Matt Murray lifetime against Detroit. So as soon as I saw that, I'm like, wow, this guy's had some trouble with Detroit. And clearly those troubles continued the other night. And Detroit was the beneficiary of it, getting that 5-2 win. Andrew, right as the show was starting, sent me his game. So one of his games, we didn't get to it earlier, was Tampa-Boston. So we're going to get Andrew in now, talk about the Lightning Bruins, see what his betting thought is, side or total on that game. Andrew, what do you see there in a big matchup for the Atlantic Division?
Yeah, it's absolutely a huge matchup. I think this is a huge game. Everyone should think this is one of the games of the night, absolutely. And obviously, two teams that are competing for the top spot in the East and could be meeting in the Eastern Conference Finals. And just real quickly on this game, looking back at that Boston versus Winnipeg game where I had the over the total in that game, ended up finishing 5-4 in favor of Winnipeg. A lot of people like the under in that game thought it might be a slow paced game, and sometimes I feel like the more and more this game develops, people just want goals. I mean, it's what's the game's turned into more. There's a lot more high scoring games when it's really competitive and big games. But I think for this one specifically, guys, we got Tampa Bay, Vasilevsky against Rask tonight. We got two teams that are kind of both coming back from injuries, some players that are still out on both sides. We've got Stamkos is upgraded to probable. Hedman still a question mark. Adam Ernie still a question mark for tonight. Some of these guys still doubtful. But for me in this game, I think it's such a key game. Both these teams are going to be on their heels. They're both going to be putting that extra effort in defensively. I mentioned how important it is having Bergeron back. And, I mentioned how important he is as a two-way player. Let's not forget David Krejci as well. He's not just an offensive player. He's defensive as well. And let's face it, in my opinion, if this Tampa Bay team wants to be serious, guys, they can't be giving up 4 or 5 goals per game. That's just the fact. That's just the way it is. If they want to go deep in the playoffs, they have to sharpen it up defensively. This is possibly going to be our Eastern Conference final matchup. And, I think that 6 mark right now, I don't think they get over the 6 whatsoever. I think they keep this low scoring. This should be a matchup that surprises a lot of people, I think, because many people might think it's 2 high scoring offenses. They're just going to light the lamp all night long. But personally, from my eyes, I think this is one of those games where they come into it with that defensive mindset. First team to make a mistake loses, I think. And they're going to be trying to keep it really, really sharp. So total's gone under in 11 of Tampa Bay's last 16 games when playing on the road against Boston. I'm taking the under 6 at minus 125, Tampa Boston.
All right, Tampa Boston under the total for Andrew. A big matchup there. I'll definitely be watching that game, watching a bunch of other hockey games, watching a little baseball too. It's going to be a busy night, and the televisions are going to get a workout tonight. Let's put it that way. We got Florida, Ottawa, 7-8 on the rotation. They get the televisions get more of a workout than I do. Basically, that is without a doubt. Minus 160 to minus 165 for Florida as a road favorite. The total is 6 shaded to the over. Minus 115 to minus 120 in this game. We've got Florida on a back-to-back after a tough loss in Toronto last night, 4-3. Really played well after the tough first period. Played good in the second and third, but you can't fall behind and spot a team like Toronto a 3-0 lead very often and expect to win those games. That's exactly what happened to Florida. Now, I was a little concerned for Florida last night when I saw Luongo confirmed because he's a guy that's been out for a little bit with the last few starts. It's been James Reimer recently. Luongo's been out first start back. Sometimes you're just not quite sharp. You're not quite on top of your game. You're not quite square to the shooter, moving laterally as well as sometimes you are. But Luongo was actually good. It could have been worse early on. But nevertheless, Florida goes down to defeat, and now they got to pick themselves right back up. Can't mope, can't be upset. You got to get right back on the wagon here tonight against Ottawa on a back-to-back situation, and you've got to win this hockey game. New Jersey's not doing you any favors. They keep winning games. They keep winning the games they're supposed to and picking up 2 points. It's going to be up to Florida to basically keep pace, and you got to win a game like this against Ottawa that inexplicably loses the other night to a moribund, just down and out Islanders team the other night that had just been eliminated from the playoffs the night before. But Islanders end up beating Ottawa, and that tells you right there. And I said before that game, that's why it's a tough game to get involved with, because those two teams, I don't trust either one. And Ottawa was lethargic against Carolina the night before, and really they weren't all that much better against the New York Islanders. So you can tell right now I want no part of this Ottawa team tonight. It's Florida or pass. It's not the greatest spot for Florida. It is James Reimer in net tonight for the Florida Panthers. It has been confirmed he'll be in. Second night of back-to-backs, you would expect that definitely to be the case. And Reimer's been good lately. Reimer's been very good here in the month of March. I think he's won every start here this month, and his goals against has been pretty solid. So, and you're asking to go up against an Ottawa team that, offensively has been a little bit flighty of late. They've been more down than up the last few games in terms of their offense, Ottawa. So James Reimer's capable of going in there and being solid for this Florida Panthers team. Personally, for me, it's not a game I'm going to be involved with in the end. Lean to Florida. It's a little priced too high. I'm not sure this is a night on a second night of back-to-back on the road. I'd be rushing to bet regulation line or -1 or -1.5 on the puck line. So for me, I'm just going to say pass and lean to the Panthers. So I don't want Ottawa. I'll tell you that now. Andrew, Florida, Ottawa. What do you got?
Yeah, like you mentioned, I don't want Ottawa whatsoever right now. And they are one of those teams that is trying to play a little bit of a spoiler role, I find. But for me, this team just they can't find chemistry, with a map in their hands. I mean, they can't find, to get it together at all whatsoever. They're mixing the lines up, juggling them all around. And for me, this Florida team, like you mentioned, Ian, after that first period, they looked like a pretty solid team. That first period was obviously not their best. The Leafs came out. They looked like a team that could be really competitive in the playoffs. It looked like a very strong team. They were playing, some of their best hockey. They looked like the puck was attached to their stick with a piece of tape. It was just so perfect the way they were playing. But all of a sudden, second and third period, Florida looks like a team that they could crawl back. They were playing aggressively. They didn't really play like they were down 3-0. They played very strong. So a lot of the times I look at these back-to-back situations. I'm kind of disappointed at the price that we're getting, but I mean I know it is Ottawa. But I'm looking to pound Florida here, guys. I literally think that I'm disappointed with this Ottawa team lately. I think they give up way too many goals, and this Florida team is way too talented to be getting, for me to just underestimate them coming into this matchup just because they lost last night to the Leafs. I hate to use this phrase, and I know often on this show I use it a little bit too much, I'd say, but I do think that Florida will be a little bit more excited, a little more motivated coming into this game because, like I mentioned on our past couple shows, these games against really shitty teams do matter. The teams against the really crappy teams should be an easy 2 points, and that's exactly what this should be for the Florida Panthers right now. It's just as easy as that. I mean, this has to be a game you can walk into and say, look, on March 22nd, Ottawa gave up goals to Edmonton. On the 24th, they gave up 5 goals to Carolina. On the 4th, again, 4 goals to Carolina. On the 27th, 4 goals to New York. I mean, this team is easy to get scored on. I mean, their defense is very sloppy. They don't really back check whatsoever. I mean, they're ready to clean out their lockers and head to the golf course. So, in my opinion, looking at this minus 158 line, I wouldn't really, go too heavy on it, but you could probably dabble a little bit on the puck line. But this Florida team has too much talent. The way they played the rest of that game, if they just rolled over, Ian, if they just rolled over after that first period last night, I wouldn't be betting this. But the way that they kind of fought back and played in that second and third period makes me look at Florida tonight. And they should be disappointed in that game last night. They should want to make that up, and they should take their frustration out on Ottawa tonight. That's what they're exactly going to do.
All right, Florida for sure. And I give Erik Karlsson credit. You're on a lousy hockey team. There's nowhere to go for you the rest of this season. And you're still finding it in you to come back, play, find ways to. I'm going to be in the lineup. I'll be ready, despite a personal tragedy that recently happened involving his young daughter. I mean, give him credit for that because if I were him, I'd say, you know what, I've just had one of the biggest nightmares that could possibly happen to me as a husband, as a father, in my own personal life. This team stinks. Sayonara. I'm just not coming back. There's 6 games left. I'm just not coming back the rest of this season. But he's still saying, hey, I'm available, coach. You can put me in there. And despite everything that's happened, a team that's lousy, not doing anything, not going anywhere, kudos to Erik Karlsson for doing that. He still wants to try to get in the lineup on a nightly basis here for this Ottawa team. And he's actually been one of the guys that's still giving you a solid effort for Ottawa. The problem is, again, for this team, Anderson and Condon have not had good seasons. The goaltending duo for them and their defense is it's been Swiss cheese pretty much all season long for Guy Boucher's team, and it's been that way especially and increasingly more in these last few games. Dana, Florida, Ottawa, this is on your card as well, your Thursday night ticket. What do you like in this game here?
Yeah, if I'm Erik Karlsson, Ian, man, I'm looking over at Shabbat and just saying, really? Is this going to be this is my defense partner? I mean, there's no way this guy stays in Ottawa because there's no pieces there. They're not moving forward. They're not going to do anything next year. I mean, Melnick's already come out. Eugene Melnick's already come out and said this is it. I mean, we're gonna go young. We're gonna go cheap. And I know there's a floor and the ceiling in the NHL, but I think they're going to be closer to the floor than the ceiling next year. And if I'm Erik Karlsson, I want to put a ring on the finger, and he's not going to do it in Ottawa. But as far as this game is concerned, first of all, we've said this all the time. I mean, when you're dealing with a total, I don't have to worry about either of these teams killing me on the power play. Neither team's power play is very good. So now we break it down to, the 5-on-5 aspect. And I don't look at all year. I just want to look at the last month or so. And one aspect of handicapping that we really never talk about is offensive zone draw percentage and defensive zone draw percentage. And as far as offensive zone percentage, advantage. The Ottawa Senators are one of the worst teams in the National Hockey League. Well, why is that a big deal? Well, when you're not good in your offensive zone, as far as face-offs are concerned, you really are limiting your amount of time where you have offensive pressure in the opposing team's zone. And so, as basically, if you're not good there, you're killing off clock, or the other team is bringing it back the other way. And really, when you're betting totals, all you're trying to do is get to the point where you're trying to kill clock all game long. And when you're not good in your offensive zone, and Florida's very good in their defensive zone, I really feel like that those two things combined tonight, I think it's going to be a lot of neutral zone play, and I think that they're going to kill off enough clock where this game's not going to hit to 7. The Panthers are third in the NHL. I mean, and it drives me crazy too. I had to look up these numbers because every time I watched the Panthers the other night, especially, they miss a ton of shots on net. I mean, they get a lot of good looks. None of these shots gets on net. I mean, it drives me crazy about Vegas too. But over their last 15 games, they've given up. They've had an average of 13 shots a night that never even hit the mark. And Ottawa's not any better. They're like 13th in the league in that category as well. So there's a lot of variables in this that I really think lean to the under. And I also think that this is a game. This is what's best for Florida. They get right back on it and play another team that they should beat. They have one game in hand over New Jersey. So really, I think if they fail to make the playoffs, guys, this is going to be the game that they point to and say, we should have had this game. We can, give them the Toronto game because Toronto is a better team, but this game right here is a game that they need to get out 2-3-0 and then absolutely suffocate Ottawa because they don't really have anything to counter that. So I'm going to take the plus money at 5 dimes at $1.05, $1.06, and go under the total of Florida Ottawa.
All right, Florida, Ottawa, under 6 in that game. It's 6 about plus 100. You can get really good price. Plus 100 even money to go under 6 with that Florida Ottawa game. Keep your eye out, by the way. There could be a debuting player for Florida tonight, potentially this week, sometime in Henrik Borgstrom. It's a guy that was a 2016 first-round pick of theirs, was signed to an entry-level deal. He played at Denver, the Pioneers, in college hockey. Their season wrapped up, so he's basically signed to Florida earlier this week, and they're really high on this kid. He's a center iceman, 20 years old, great speed, vision, very smart, intelligent in terms of passing, sees the ice very well. He could be making his Panthers debut tonight. I've read a couple things that he might be in there for Florida, and to be able to add a guy like that behind some of the center icemen that they have in Barkov and Vinny Trocheck, and it's going to be interesting because now all of a sudden you put in this guy who's a very talented young center. It could make Florida a lot deeper down the middle the rest of this season, and should they make the playoffs, the postseason, if they're able to get in. But that's still a big if. Like I said, New Jersey's not doing them any favors. So keep your eye out for Henrik Borgstrom here for the Florida Panthers. Might be in the lineup some point soon.
Hey, Ian?
Florida. Yeah.
What book am I allowed to use? Because every time I give a number, you always give one lower. Like, it's clearly plus $1.07 at 5 dimes. Am I looking at the wrong book here?
Oh yeah, it probably is plus $1.07. You're right. It's just the screen I'm looking at. I see minus one. Yeah, no, it's no problem. I mean, I see minus 120 at 5 dimes to the over. So usually that equates to plus 100 on the under. So that's why I said plus 100. But if it's plus 107, if you're seeing it with your own 2 eyes at 5 dimes, then we'll go by yours, no question. Because I'm not actually looking at 5 dimes. I'm looking at an odd screen. Yep.
Because 5, see, you're so much more advanced. Well, 5 dimes is a 10-cent line, so that's why you always get the better plus money there.
There you go. All right, but every cent matters. So shop around. That's why SBR. Yeah, exactly. SBRodds.com. That's why it's there. Use it because you're going to get better numbers, better prices for what you want to bet every day using that site, SBRodds.com. San Jose, Nashville, 9-10 on the rotation. Nashville minus 155 to minus 160. The total 5.5 here shaded to the over, minus 115 in this game. San Jose finally having their win streak snapped by the St. Louis Blues the other night, a 3-2 overtime loss, snapping what was a 8-game winning streak for the San Jose Sharks, playing very good hockey. And that's despite this team battling a couple of key injuries. They've had Eunice Donskoy's been out. Joe Thornton, of course, has been out for a while. They had to worry about Logan Couture maybe missing some time, but it was just a minor injury for him. San Jose still been able to find ways to win and playing good hockey, still trying to keep pressure on the Vegas Golden Knights. And with Vegas's loss last night to Arizona, the door still slightly ajar, slightly open for the San Jose Sharks as they try to track Vegas down for first in the Pacific Division. Won't be easy, though, here against Nashville at home. We know how good the Predators are on this in this building. 26-12 at home this season. Again, a tremendous elite home record for the Nashville Predators. Added to it with a 2-1 shootout win against Minnesota the other night. And really snapped a 3-game losing streak. We talked about that game. Nashville was looking to really get off the schneid, and they have to keep winning too because Winnipeg right behind them can still. And you talk about two teams. You got San Jose. The door's slightly ajar for them to come back and get Vegas. The door's slightly ajar for Winnipeg to come back and maybe steal the Central from Nashville. I mean, it's probably not going to happen. There's not a lot of games left. I can't see it. Winnipeg's basically got to win out, and Nashville's got to lose a majority of their remaining games. But the possibility is still there. So if you're Nashville, you can't be napping tonight going into this game. You got to try to get the 2 points and try to finish this thing off without a doubt. So we'll see if they're able to get job done and take care of business tonight as they take on San Jose. It's a very interesting game. I'm always reluctant to bet against a team when they've had a big win streak snapped like San Jose did. But boy, that price is awfully tempting considering how good they've played, and they need the points if they want to try to track down Vegas for first in the Pacific. So maybe a slight lean to San Jose, but again, I'm not going to get involved with this one. I think there's better spots out there personally. Is this Alex B. Smith? No, it's Dana, San Jose, Nashville. This is one of your games on the card, Dana. What do you like? Sharks and Preds.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, this San Jose Sharks team is not the one that I want to face in the postseason. I mean, I'm telling you, I can see them right now where they are just absolutely. Pete DeBoer's trying to get his guys peaking at the right time, and watching Vegas as closely as I do, I just don't think that they're in a. If you had to say, okay, are they at their peak? Are they at their peak right now? They're absolutely not. I mean, these games against Arizona, and I understand, it's coming off a pretty decent stretch of games against good teams, and this is just not a team that you should lose to. I mean, you beat them four times this year, and Arizona just really wanted it more. And yeah, you can say, well, the Sharks are not that far behind, and that's absolutely true with 5 games left, but they also have a game have a game head to head, but the schedule really says Vegas is going to win this because 3 out of the last 5 are against teams that are probably or are not going to make the playoffs, where San Jose has to play all playoff teams. But as far as this game goes tonight, we know that the Predators have dropped 3 out of their last 4. They won their last game, and the last game is really where I think that Peter Laviolette's team showed really who they are. When you limit your opposition to 23 shots, I mean, that is Nashville Predator hockey, and that's it's as good as I've seen them maybe in probably about 10 days. The Sharks, even in their loss to the St. Louis Blues, you have to take into account that it was the fifth game in their last 8 days. I thought that Pete DeBoer said it the best when he came out and said, I'm pretty happy with the performance. I thought they played well defensively, and that to me is telling me, and I didn't think they were on top of their game, but that to me is telling me they got 2 or 3 gears that they are not only going to be able to use the rest of the season, but they're going to be able to use in the postseason as well. I thought that they were pretty well conditioned in this spot, and I didn't see them at any point, letting up or felt like that they were taking some shifts off. But I think this San Jose Sharks team, guys, I mean, as good as we think Nashville is, I think that this San Jose team is really the team to look for in the postseason. That's my official selection right now. We'll see what happens in 5 days, but they certainly right now look to me like a team that's ready to play playoff hockey. And the last two times that these two teams play, we know Nashville absolutely pounded San Jose. They gave up San Jose gave up 46 shots, which is not San Jose Shark hockey. So you can guarantee that this game has been circled on their calendar. They haven't been very good at Bridgestone Arena. Another reason for them to circle this on the calendar and know that this is a kind of a measuring stick game for them. And if they do win this game tonight, well, then look out Vegas, because I think they can win the remainder of their games, including the game against Vegas. They have an excellent penalty kill, which we look at when we're betting totals. And Nashville's given up just 2.25 goals per game in their last month. So both teams are at their peak as far as playing defensive hockey, and you could bet that Martin Jones is not going to play as bad as he did in the first game after he got pulled. So I'm going all in again on the unders tonight. I'm getting plus money on this as well. So we're going under the 6. Or
All right,
5.5
under
rather.
the
Sorry.
yeah, under 5.5. Yeah, under 5.5 minus 105. San Jose and Nashville, and yeah, I mean under. We had Arizona Vegas was an under last night. When Rangers Washington was an under last night. In the NHL, Philly Colorado was an under. So you had 3 unders. The only game that went over last night was Florida Toronto. Is there a changing of the guard maybe on the way in the next week and a half as teams start to ratchet up, particularly the play in their own zone? Prior to the playoffs. Was last night a sign of things to come with totals? We'll see. Tonight's going to go a long way to determining that. Dallas, Minnesota, 11-12. On the rotation here, Minnesota minus 155, minus 160. The total 5.5 shaded to the under, minus 115 to minus 120 in that range. Well, if there was a block of the Thursday NHL card that we could call we're walking into Alex B. Smith's neighborhood, this is that block. The next 3 games are all his. So getting ready for some Alex B. Smith time coming up here on the ice, guys, finally. Long overdue. Dallas, Minnesota. Dallas, could you say they saved their season? I don't think there's anything to save. I think they're out already. I think they've already shot themselves in the foot too much in terms of the playoffs. With that 8-game losing streak, they finally snapped it the other night with a overtime victory against the Philadelphia Flyers. They are 5 games back, but they've only got 6 games left. So they can get a maximum of 12 points. They can finish at most with 98. That's not going to happen. They're not sweeping the rest of their games, Dallas. So to me, I think it's still not going to be possible for them to make the playoffs. Now, they're not going to say it. They're going to come out in the media today prior to this game in Minnesota, say we got a shot. We got to keep playing until we're out. I understand that. That's what you're supposed to say as a professional, but I don't think it's happening for Dallas. Minnesota, on the other hand, this will be their first game after the loss the other night against the Nashville Predators in a shootout. Not a terrible game for Minnesota. They did get outplayed a little bit, but not bad considering I thought that was a really good revenge spot for Nashville, and Minnesota still had a shot to win that hockey game, and we know how good Minnesota's been at home. So this game I don't have much of an opinion on. We'll get to Alex here with this Stars Wild game tonight. Alex, what do you like here?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely looking at Minnesota here in this spot. This is a huge game for them because this is the second to last home game they have. They end the season on a 3-game road trip out in California. So, like I said, they're one of the better home teams in the league. They know they've only got 4 more points to earn at home, and this is a home and home series. They go to Dallas after this, and then come back home against Edmonton. So this 3-game block is crucial for the Wild right now. Like I said, Dallas, they pulled out that win in overtime. The 3-2 against Philadelphia, and we talked about that game. Philadelphia hadn't been looking good on the road anyway. Dallas needed that win, but they're pretty much done right now. 1-8 in the last 9. I don't see whether they're going to play a bit motivated because it's a division rival. These two teams have a bit of bad blood between each other. There's a lot of physicality that comes on when these two play. But the Wild is the only side I'm looking at, and if you find on a regulation line at plus 100, but I might even take a shot with the puck line here at 1.5 at plus 190.
All right, puck line, that's a great price. Yeah, plus 190 indeed on minus 1.5 goals. That might be worth it because I think if Dallas loses tonight, it's not a 1-goal loss. If they lose tonight, they're probably going to get blitzed. It's probably one of those games Minnesota wins by 2 or 3, or Dallas shocks them. It's probably going to be one way or the other. It may not be a 1-goal game when it's all said and done tonight in that one. Winnipeg, Chicago, 13-14. We've got Winnipeg minus 170 to minus 175. Big road favorites, total 6, shaded to the over. Make note in this game, we've got Eric Comrie in net for the Winnipeg Jets. He's been confirmed. They're giving Connor Hellebuck a rest. Chicago, good opponent to do it against, obviously. If you're going to give a guy a rest, do it against a team that you think you could still be able to survive without him. Hellebuck, of course, has played a lot of big games lately. Big game against Nashville, big game against Boston. Good breather spot. Good coaching by Paul Maurice. Keep this guy fresh going into the playoffs, and that's good. He was 2 intense, wild games against Nashville and Boston in a row for this Winnipeg team it's a good spot to give Connor Hellebuck a rest, give him the night off. Good decision there. For the Chicago Blackhawks, it looks like it's going to be Anton Forsberg, who's not been great, but he's been at least a little bit better than JF Berube's been. So I think he's at least a little bit of a better option for the Blackhawks than Berube, even though the difference between them in the end is pretty minimal. You just have to worry for Winnipeg. I know they can still track down Nashville, outside chance at least. They're going to try. They're going to keep trying to come out hard and play to their best until they know they're out of this Central Division first place chase and can't do it anymore. But this is not the spot I'm in any rush to lay -170, -175 with Winnipeg. You're off two physical, intense, emotional games against Stanley Cup contenders, which you believe you are as well if you're Winnipeg. You are facing two of them, Nashville, Boston, in back-to-back games. Just has a little letdown written all over it, potentially. If you're the Winnipeg Jets. So I'm not involved in this game. A couple guys are, though, including Andrew McGinnis, Jets and Blackhawks for him. Andrew, what do you like?
Yeah, this time around, I'm finally not actually looking at the Jets this time. I'm looking at the total. I think that, two backups in net. We have Comrie versus Forsberg. And for me, guys, it's kind of the exact same example I used with the Ottawa Senators. This Chicago Blackhawks team right now is a team that's, trying to play spoiler right now. They're obviously way out of a spot. There was kind of a letdown season for them, but they've been putting up some goals, but they're also getting scored on, it seems to me, at will. I mean, the past couple of games here with them, you look back at, just way down their schedule against Boston, they let 7 in, against Winnipeg last time around on the 15th, they let 6 in, against Buffalo 5, St. Louis 5, once again, St. Louis 5, so that's saying a lot, Colorado 5, Vancouver 5, San Jose 4 on the 26th. This team, they don't have it together defensively right now. They're not really fully into it. And like I said, it's the same kind of motto I was saying before. This Winnipeg team, obviously, this isn't the biggest game for them. Like you mentioned, they've got Comrie and Nets, might be a little game off, kind of come into this game with more of an easy mindset. But I kind of beg to differ. I think that this Chicago team will play you competitive. They're not one of those teams that's going to pack it in. They're a competitive team. They know what their franchise stands for. These players, it means something to them. They have pride. I know Jonathan Toews has pride. I know the surrounding cast around him has pride. And I think that collectively, whether or not Winnipeg can cover a puck line or Chicago can get the upset, I think the over is a strong play in this one, strictly just because, they're fighting for kind of just the respect, I think, for Chicago essentially. And, coming into this game, I think Winnipeg has had a tough schedule recently. And, they're obviously looking towards the future. They're looking towards the playoffs and how far they really can go. But just checking to see this right now. Over 6 at -115 here at Pinnacle. That's what I'm going to go with. I think with these two backups in net, the stats really do tell you the over is kind of the play. But the under actually has gone under in the Winnipeg's past couple of games here. But against Chicago, it's been flying over the total. So for me, guys, I think with this matchup, these two backups in nets, over 6, -115 is my official play.
Yeah, not bad. Personally, I'm actually leaning to that over as well. The thing with Comrie is that I'm wondering about is what's real and what's not. I mean, early in the season, he had that one start against Florida. He struggled. He didn't play well. Then he had his second start just recently, 9 days ago against LA. Second start with the Jets this season, and he was pretty good. He only gave up 1 goal. So which Eric Comrie is going to show up? That's my big concern question in terms of trying to bet this game over the total, but it's definitely the way I'd go from a totals perspective here. Winnipeg, Chicago, it was 6-2 the last time these two teams met. You might get something similar. The potential is certainly there for it. So Andrew's going with over 6 in this game, Winnipeg and Chicago. Alex B. Smith, of course, with the Hawks involved. He's got something to say about it. You know that. Alex B. Smith, Winnipeg, Chicago. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm also looking toward the over here in this spot. And you look at, like I said, Eric Comrie in net for the Jets. So you kind of like to wonder which Eric Comrie we get, if he's going to show up and play huge or, just kind of just play out the string, fill out 60 minutes just to give Hellebuck a rest. But looking at the other side of the Hawks tonight, it's the debut of Dylan Sakura, draft pick from a couple of years ago, coming up from Northeastern. He's going to be on the second line with Alex DeBrincat. There's been a lot of hype and a lot of talk about this kid, so it's going to be interesting to see if now we got these younger guys coming in. They're going to be a little bit more energized. They're finally getting with the team. Want to try and play the season out on a much higher note, and the rest of the season now it's all against division opponents. 2 with Winnipeg, 2 games against St. Louis, and 2 with Colorado. So, like I said, the chance for them to play spoiler is massive right now. So, I would look at the over. I think we could see goals going both ways. Anton Forsberg, he's the starter right now. I mean, JF Berube was sent down. Colin Delia was called up, somebody we might end up seeing in the last couple of games of the year. So Forsberg, he's playing basically an audition role now because we still don't know what the hell is going to happen with Corey Crawford. If he's ever going to come back, or if he's still playing him back for next season, we don't know yet. So I could see where we get at least 3-4 goals on both sides. This could be a high scoring game, especially with the Jets. They want to win and try and earn as many points as possible. So they're not going to completely lay down because this is a game against a non-playoff team. So I look at the over here at a decent price.
All right, consensus over 6 for Alex as well with Winnipeg, Chicago. Moving on, Columbus, Calgary, 15-16. We got no line here. It doesn't matter what line they put up. They could put up minus 700 on Columbus, and I'm not betting Calgary in this game. That's all there is to it. I mean, that's not happening. This Calgary team's dead. I mean, with a capital D. I mean, they're injury riddled. We talked about it. Monahan, Gaudreau, and Tkachuk all out the last game against LA. They get shut out 3-0. Even more injuries piling up for this Calgary team. Effort is waning. A dismal, disappointing end to a promising season. They were comfortably in the playoffs a month or two ago, and now they're out of it, and now they're injury riddled. By the way, and I read this the other day prior to the LA game, Tkachuk, Monahan, and Gaudreau didn't play against LA. That accounts for 195 combined points this season, those 3 guys. You talk about how huge that is. 195 points out of your lineup with those 3 guys out. Tkachuk, Monahan, and Gaudreau for this Calgary team. So surprisingly, shockingly, they got shut out against the LA Kings the other night, 3-0. You can't take that much offense out and expect to score goals. So the under's kind of interesting to me in this game, actually, because Columbus not happy about the way they started against Edmonton. They gave the puck away, breakaway goal by McDavid. They didn't play good in their own end. They ironed it out, ended up pummeling Edmonton in the end 7-3, but they were down 3-0 at the start of that game. Didn't start well. Tortorella was not really amused by that, even though they ended up winning that game comfortably. I'd expect them to ratchet it up. Bobrovsky as well. They don't have to do much to shut down this Calgary offense these days. So the under kind of interests me in this game more than anything else. We'll see where the total comes out. This is a game for both Alex and Andrew. They're both involved in the Jackets and Flames, or at least have an opinion on it. Let's go to Andrew first. Jackets and Flames here.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Ian, like it's just plain and simple for me with those key guys being out for Calgary, the way that they're playing right now, and in my opinion, Columbus is playing excellent hockey. I mean, they're looking like a team to me that's going to be a lot more serious in the playoffs and a lot more tough to play this year in the playoffs than they were last year, simply because of their depth down the middle. I think they're a lot more competitive. They're a lot more serious this year. They don't just have 1 or 2 guys scoring. They've got down the lineup. They've got some guys that can score, but most importantly, they've always had good goaltending, but the defense seemed to be stepping up as well. So for me, I think that this Columbus team has to stick to their motto of being an under team, I think, and that low scoring style team. But for me, it's exciting to see them be able to score high numbers. And, the fact is, against this Calgary team, they will not be able to keep up with the pace that Columbus has to offer, with the aggression they have to offer, with the experience they have to offer, let alone the goaltending they have to offer. So for me, I would look at the under in this game, but, I'm certainly looking at a small little piece at the Columbus puck line. You're getting plus 190 with this, guys. At Intertops right now. It's the only place offering the line right now for the puck line, plus 190 for the minus 1.5 puck line. And look, again, with these guys being out and the juggled lineups right now for Calgary and Columbus, really, a serious team heading into the playoffs. It's kind of been my motto on the show today. I understand, these good teams playing really shitty teams, but again, I do think it matters. I think late in the season, people think the teams, kind of start thinking about the playoffs and, they try new things, rest some players. But I disagree. I think that some of these teams need to go into the playoffs with a healthy mindset. They're racing for those final spots. They're trying to finish as high as they can. So I think as a Calgary position right now, they're going to try and be competitive. But Columbus is way more powerful. And I think they're going to stomp all over this Calgary team. And the puck line might be worth a shot at the plus 190. Absolutely.
Yeah, the puck line and the under doesn't always correlate. Laying 1.5 goal and liking the under in the same game. But I could see both cashing with Calgary like it did the other night against LA. I could see a lot of 3-0, 3-1, 4-1 losses in Calgary's future where they don't give up a boatload of goals, but they don't score anything. and still end up cashing A, the puck line, and B, and under the total. I think that could happen a lot with Calgary here down the stretch. Alex B. Smith, Columbus, Calgary, what you got?
Yeah, it's a staggering stat that you gave out about the with those three guys out for Calgary missing that high of a point production. That just tells you that this team is completely dead in the water right now. I've tweeted it out. I've said it on here. Calgary's auto fade material for me right now. At Bet Online, they have a circled number where you can get Columbus at minus $1.48. That's something that I'm going to put in my pocket for sure. And I'm probably going to be looking at Columbus over the team total. And they're 11-1 in their last 12. And they've scored 3 or more goals in all but 2 of those games. So, like I said, you got a hot team going against a team that's just completely given up on the year. Puck line would make a little bit of sense as well, but I feel a little more comfortable with a higher money line total. And certainly, like I said, the fact that Calgary's not scoring, so total, I'm just going to look one way with the team total over for the Blue Jackets tonight.
All right, next up, we got Edmonton, Vancouver, 17-18 on the rotation. Edmonton minus 130, minus 135, total 6 shaded to the under. I don't have a whole lot on this game, won't be involved in it, but I'll give Vancouver credit. A 4-1 win against Anaheim and a 4-1 win against Dallas, their last 2 games, teams that need points desperately. Vancouver knocks them both off, so give them credit. They've been still playing hard and battling with all the guys out, with all the injuries. Goodbranson and Louis Eriksson and Sven Berchi and Marcus Granlund and the biggest of all, Brock Besser. This team has still managed to compete and be competitive and win games. I mean, Travis Green, he's not going to get any Coach of the Year nominations or awards, but he's got this team battling nightly, so give him credit for that. With all the injuries, Travis Green might be showing himself as a decent young coach in this league, without a doubt. I'd be reluctant to go against Vancouver. That effort's there nightly. Edmonton's effort is there too, but they're not playing much defense. They're involved in mostly track meets lately. 4 of their last 5 games have gone over the total, and those games were 7-3, 6-2, 5-4, 7-3. It's a clash of styles. I think if you like Edmonton, it could go over. If you like Vancouver, it's probably got to stay under, because it's still a team that's a little bit challenged offensively. So tough game, one I'll stay away from. We wrap it up. The last game of the card, 19-20, Arizona, Los Angeles, LA minus 250, total 5.5, shaded to the under, minus 125. I don't think we're going to see Antti Raanta. He was in last night. They'll probably go to Kemper, second night of back-to-back games for this Arizona team, which is disappointing because I think Arizona would be live again at a big underdog price if it was Raanta in there. I don't trust Kemper by any stretch. And be careful laying this price or the puck line with LA. I remember LA needing points desperately to get in the playoffs either last year or the year before, facing Arizona at home, and Arizona beat them. So this is, be careful. I'm saying LA obviously I think is playing better now than they were down the stretch of that season when they lost to Arizona late when they needed points to get in the playoffs, but just be careful. Again, must win doesn't equal will win, and this Arizona team is hell-bent on playing spoiler. Just ask Tampa Bay. Just ask Vegas last night. Great effort from this Arizona team nightly now. 15-9, the Coyotes in their last 24 games overall. They've played some really decent hockey for the last month or two. And this is not the price range I'm all that excited about betting against Arizona in right now when they're catching these healthy prices of more than plus 200, and they've shown already twice this week in 2 straight games that they can cash a ticket in this price range. So for me, it's actually take a shot with Arizona or pass. I know LA needs the points. They're right there, the thick of that one, the race for one of the last spots, but not laying this price. Still be take a shot with the dog or pass for me in that game. All right, let's go to best bets. It's best bets to wrap up the Thursday card. Let's go around the horn. Let's go to Alex B. Smith first. What do you got for best bets for this Thursday card?
I'm going with the Minnesota Wild on the puck line. They lay 1.5 at plus 185. Like I said, it's a huge game, second to last home game for them. And they want to try and wrap up that 3 spot in the Central against the Dallas team that's just been absolutely horrific right now. So I think we should see goals aplenty for the Wild tonight. Lay the puck line with Minnesota. That's my best bet.
All right, Minnesota puck line, best bet for Alex. Dana Lane, best bet. What do you got?
Under is 4-0 in the last 4 meetings in Buffalo. The under is 5-0 overall. So I'm going under the total in Detroit and Buffalo tonight.
All right, under 5.5, I believe that one is. Yeah, under 5.5, Detroit, Buffalo. Best bet for Dana. Andrew McGinnis, what do you got for best bet?
Yeah, over is 5-1 in Jets last 6 versus the Central. Over is 5-1-1 in Blackhawks last 7 overall. We're getting the 6 number, minus 115. 2 backups and net guys. I'll take it as my best bet here on the ice guys.
All right, and for best bet for me, let's go Pitt Jersey over the total. Over 6 minus 120. in that game. At Pinnacle, it's minus 125 in a lot of shops, but you can get minus 120 as well at Pinnacle there. Hey, Pittsburgh, New Jersey, I like both teams' current form offensively right now. They just played a game that went over the total a week ago in Pittsburgh, 4-3. That game, I think we can get there again. I think you got both teams in good offensive form and both teams wanting to show. Be aggressive. I mean, New Jersey needs the points. They're going to be aggressive, attack-minded. Pittsburgh's going to be attack-minded after being just an absolute almost no-show against Detroit the other night. So we'll go over 6, minus 120 with Pittsburgh, New Jersey as my Thursday best bet. That's going to wrap up the show. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. It's been a great show, good viewership again. Enjoy MLB opening day as well, and good luck, and tread lightly, please. Baseball is one of those marathon sports. It's not a sprint. Pick your spots, be deliberate, be selective. Cash some tickets. We'll be back again Saturday with the next edition of the NHL Ice Guys. For Alex, for Dana, and for Andrew, I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Enjoy the Thursday NHL card. Enjoy opening day in Major League Baseball, and we'll see you again on Saturday.